This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
All right, here we go. An afternoon edition of the Callahan Show. This is fun, Ironhead. We've never done this before, but we had technical difficulties this morning, so here we are for your afternoon commute and for your weekend. It started as kind of a glib throwaway line. People a day ago, 2 days ago, you heard it, saw it online on X. People said Democrats seem like they're more upset about Jimmy Kimmel getting suspended from his $16 million a year gig than they are about Charlie Kirk getting shot in the throat and murdered in front of 3,000 people, including his family. Democrats are more upset that Jimmy Kimmel might be fired than Charlie Kirk was fired upon. And when I first heard it, I said, it's a good line, but it can't be true. They can't be that soulless, that depraved, that they would express more outrage and more anger that this punk on late night TV, who was getting lousy ratings and losing millions for the company, was fired or suspended, hasn't even been fired yet, than they are about a young father of two, a young husband, a 31-year-old guy, Christian, by all accounts, a stand-up guy, was murdered. But you know what? It's not a glib throwaway line anymore. It is the truth. It is the truth. There are people online, in Congress, in the Senate, on TV, on cable news, who are more upset that Jimmy Kimmel was taken off the air by his employer, ABC, than they are when about Charlie Kirk being murdered. That's not hyperbole. We got the sound. We got the proof. It's crazy. The reaction to Charlie Kirk's death is so revealing. I mean, I knew my side. I knew the good guys would be upset. I don't think people grasp how upset they are. I don't think people understand that this is a watershed moment. There's been violence, political violence, especially the last few years, most of it from the left. We've seen an assassin go to Brett Kavanaugh's house. We've seen Donald Trump get shot in the ear and had multiple attempts on his life. We've seen the riots in LA. We've seen the people trashing Teslas, setting Tesla dealerships on fire. We've seen a lot of political violence. We have not seen a political assassination like the one of Charlie Kirk, a national figure, a prominent figure, an influential figure in generations. You can go back to RFK and MLK. That's how long it's been. And don't give me poor Melissa Hortman in Minneapolis. Nobody knew who she was. I mean, she wasn't a symbol for one side. The poor woman was murdered by a crazed Democrat, a former Tim Walz appointee. It was a tragedy. It was awful. And by the way, Congress passed a resolution honoring her unanimously. That didn't happen with Charlie Kirk. We will get to that. But I want to start with the outrage over Kimmel versus the lack of outrage over Charlie Kirk from one side of the aisle. This is amazing. Just to review, Jimmy Kimmel was taken off the air under pressure from affiliates, ABC affiliates, two companies, Nexstar and Sinclair, which control like 200 ABC affiliates. Jimmy Kimmel went on the air on Monday night and knowingly lied. He said that MAGA was responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk. He knew that wasn't true. He said it anyway. Brendan Carr, the FCC commissioner, pointed this out in a show with Benny Johnson. That's all the left needed to hear. This was government censorship. It was not. Brendan Carr didn't do anything. He just pointed out that network affiliates have a obligation to tell the truth, to serve in the public interest, and this was a violation. He wasn't charged with anything. Brendan Cook didn't take him off the air. He just pointed that out. That is factual. That is true, what Brendan Carr said. had nothing to do with Jimmy Kimmel's suspension. Jimmy Kimmel was suspended. I will tell you why. Because he joked, that wasn't even a joke, because he lied about the murder of Charlie Kirk. That's what he did. He knew it wasn't true. He went on the air and said it anyway. He was called into the office by the bosses because it was an uproar. At least 60 affiliates said they were going to pull the show if he didn't apologize. So his bosses brought him in, said, you need to apologize and make a donation to Turning Point. It was probably negotiable. He could have said, I'll say this, this, this. They saw the script of what he was going to say the next night. He was going to double down. He wasn't going to apologize. He wasn't going to take it back. He was going to make it worse. So they said, we can't allow you to do that. These affiliates are outraged. Most of these affiliates are down south, out west, Midwest. These are people, even if they're not political, who were affected by the murder of Charlie Kirk. They saw it. It sickened them. It sickened all decent people. There is real outrage out there, real undercurrent of anger that people like Jimmy Kimmel and Chuck Schumer and AOC don't understand. They can't grasp it. They live in a bubble. Jimmy Kimmel lives in a bubble. He doesn't think he said anything wrong. He goes on TV every night and just dumps all over Trump and MAGA and half the country. He literally said he doesn't want Trump supporters to watch him, and they don't for the most part. He gets like 1 million viewers a night. Greg Gutfeld gets 3 times that many on cable news. Jimmy Kimmel's no different than Colbert. He's making a fortune, and he's not producing for the company. This company said, we don't want you to do that. We don't want you to double down. We don't want you to piss off half the country. And this intransigent punk said he won't apologize. He won't back down. So they said, okay, we're not going to put you on the air. It's that simple. He made the decision. Kimmel made the decision not to take it back, not to apologize for his lies that he told about MAGA and the murder of Kirk. That has nothing to do with the government. It's nothing to do with Brendan Carr or Donald Trump. It has to do with common decency. That's what ABC was demanding from Jimmy Kimmel. And he's just not a decent person. He is a total a-hole. He hates Trump. He hates Trump supporters. He doesn't care about Charlie Kirk. He doesn't care that half the country is outraged. So he said, I'm not going to do it. And they said, there's the door. Simple as that. That's it. That's all. It's not government censorship. It's not authoritarianism. It's not an outrage. It's business. ABC is running a business. This guy is losing them millions. They can't afford to have him go on there and piss all over 77 million people. Charlie Kirk hasn't been buried yet. Just you wait. In 2 days, on Sunday, in Glendale, Arizona, they're going to eulogize and bury, say goodbye to Charlie Kirk. And before that even happens, Jimmy Kimmel was going to go on there and make jokes about MAGA and how they don't really care about that. That was his joke, that Trump didn't really care that Charlie Kirk was killed, that he's only worried about himself. Yeah, you think that would fly in the Midwest, down south, anywhere in the country? You think decent people were going to be okay with that? That's the bubble they live in. They think they're friends there, a little circle of friends and hangers-on and handlers. They're all on the same page. They don't care about Kirk. They don't care that a young man was murdered, shot in front of the world. Doesn't bother them. Doesn't bother Jimmy Kimmel. He's a soulless piece of garbage. And he thinks he's so entitled. He's just so pampered and spoiled that he thinks he can go out there and say whatever the hell he wants. Stephen Colbert has my back. Chuck Schumer has my back. What do you mean? People aren't pissed. Look at my friends. They all think I'm great. Chuck Schumer's such a slimeball. I mean, they all are. This, again, is the most revealing moment I can ever remember for the culture, for politics, for cable news, for people. What kind of person are you? Are you the kind of person that gets more upset that your guy was taken off the air for a few days, or Charlie Kirk was murdered? Oh, I forgot. Charlie Kirk, he's He's racist. He's homophobic. He marginalizes people. They're just disgusting people. Can we all agree with that? These are disgusting people. Get me Chucky. Chucky Schumer I don't remember, maybe I missed it, him expressing a lot of outrage that Kirk was murdered. I can tell you this, he wasn't this angry. Here's Chuck after his friend, Jimmy Kimmel, who, by the way, got his information, got his talking points directly from Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer emailed him information that he could then use in his monologues and use in his interviews. That's how tight they were. Jimmy was taken off the air for a couple of days. Here's Chucky reacting.
Senator Schumer, your reaction to this?
It is outrageous. It's a page right out of Xi's playbook. This is just despicable, disgusting, and against democratic values. Trump and his allies seem to want to shut down speech that they don't like to hear. That is not what democracies do. That is what autocracies do. And it doesn't matter whether you agree with Kimmel or not. He has the right to free speech. And so it is just outrageous. It is indicative of autocracy. And I am just outraged by it. Again, this is what dictators do. This is what Xi would do. This is what Putin would do. We are not that country.
Trump didn't do it. Trump didn't do it. Brendan Carr didn't do it. Why doesn't CNN get a hold of the Nextar CEO, the Sinclair guy, and say, tell us, what happened? What happened? Why did you do this? They will explain to you that their affiliates, their customers were outraged, were sickened by Kimmel's comments and didn't want to hear him double down. Can you get Schumer when Fox fired Tucker Carlson? You know what Tucker did? He showed footage from January 6th that they wanted to keep hidden. He showed you the horns guy, Jacob Chansley, walking around the halls of Congress, doing nothing, hurting nobody before he went to prison for a year, solitary confinement for 10 months. You know, Tucker showed you that video that he didn't want you to see. You know what that's called? Journalism. When you tell people things that people in power don't want you to know, that's journalism. That's what Tucker did. Fox fired him. Here's how Chucky reacted.
These lies continue tonight. Rupert Murdoch, who has admitted they were lies and said he regretted it, has a special obligation to stop Tucker Carlson from going on tonight now that he's seen how he has perverted and slimed the truth, and from letting him go on again and again and again. Not because their views deserve such opprobrium, but because our democracy depends on it.
Our democracy depends on it. He calls on the CEO of the company to take someone off the air because he showed footage Chuck didn't want you to see. And they did. They took him off the air. Now, Trump dumps all over Jimmy Kimmel. He hates him, as well he should. And that's just like Xi. That's right out of the authoritarian playbook that he dumps on Kimmel, says he has no talent, and that's why he was taken off the air. Trump didn't say, I'm going to call the CEO right now and demand they take him off the air. That's what Chucky did. And Chucky today is outraged by the decision, the business decision ABC made. I want to get to that montage of the Democrats, but let's get to this first. Let's get to what happened today in Congress. You want to talk about showing your true colors. The Republicans, Mike Johnson, introduced a resolution to honor Charlie Kirk. Seems like kind of a routine thing where you just, honor this guy's passing. You condemn his murder. It happens all the time. It happened for the Melissa Ortman and her husband not long ago. You would think this would be unanimous. Just condemn the murder, honor the guy after this horrific act of evil, say something nice about the widow. Not so fast, not so easy. 58 Democrats voted no on this resolution. It's from the New York Post. 58 Democrats Friday voted down a resolution honoring the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk, including squad representatives AOC and Ayanna Pressley and Omar, all these people that have such compassion They voted no. They voted no, not to honor a man who was just murdered in front of the world. I can't even get my mind around this. You just go along. In Massachusetts, Catherine Clark, Jake Auchincloss, Jim McGovern, these hard left anti-Trumpers voted yes. Seth Moulton, that coward, that spineless, nobody voted no. He tweeted the other day his thoughts are with the widow and her 2 children. And he feels awful for Charlie Kirk, but he couldn't vote yes to a resolution honoring the man. And all the squad members voted against it. And then AOC went to the House floor and lied about the late Charlie Kirk. Listen to this piece of garbage.
His rhetoric and beliefs were ignorant, uneducated, and sought to disenfranchise millions of Americans, far from the working tirelessly to promote unity, unquote, asserted by the majority in this resolution.
She's just disgusting. Putting on a few pounds too, isn't she?
Rumors that she's pregnant.
Yeah, that's been a rumor for a long time. I'm not sure that's the case anymore, but just remarkable. They would not just go along. You don't have to, it doesn't affect anything. It's not like legislation, not like tax policy or tariffs or closing the border. It doesn't have any real effect. It just shows that you have a soul, that you have a heart, that you care about his family. And they couldn't do it. 58 of them, I believe it was 20, who voted present, which is just as bad, voted present, would not dignify the man by putting their name on a resolution to honor him. The resolution passed 310 to 58. 215 Republicans and 95 Democrats voted yes. The resolution, let me get what it said. It condemned in the strongest possible terms the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and it further expressed condolences for his wife and their 2 young children and celebrated Charlie's steadfast dedication to the Constitution, civil discourse, and biblical truth that inspired a generation to cherish and defend the blessings of liberty, and asked every American to reject political violence, recommit to respectful debate, uphold American values, and respect one another as fellow Americans. That was the resolution. And 58 Democrats said, no, I cannot endorse that. I cannot put my name on that. Again, such a revealing moment, such an eye-opening moment. These are the kind of people that Democrats are sending to Congress. People like Ilhan Omar, who went into a church, not sure who led her in the church, went before a crowd and just lied about Charlie Kirk. This was 6 days after his murder. And these disgusting people gave her a standing ovation. These are the people who send Ilhan Omar to Congress. Check this out.
I do believe those of you who are interested in rewriting this hateful man's history are full of shit.
Thank you. In a church, she calls him a hateful man and says people who are rewriting his history, and they're not doing that. Again, they know nothing about him. He was not hateful. He was, I listened to Megyn Kelly fill in for him on the Charlie Kirk show, and they had one request. She couldn't swear because Charlie didn't like swearing. Charlie didn't drink. Charlie didn't even drink coffee. I learned he's always got that big Starbucks cup, but it's mint tea. The guy lived an unbelievable life. He was a father and a husband and a Christian, and he showed respect for everyone. He was murdered while debating with people he disagreed with. You want to talk about an attack on free speech? This is the worst attack on free speech we have ever seen. AOC's not hesitant to honor other people, for their heroism. She went to the House floor to honor some freedom fighters. Was it, the revolutionary, the colonialists? Was it the North in the Civil War? Was it the troops in the Middle East? Of course not. It was Somali freedom fighters That's what she said on the floor of the U.S. Congress. She said, I want to take this moment to honor people who fought for Somalia. That's where her loyalties lie. She is not an American. She makes that point every day. Her top priority is Somalia. Her allegiance is with Somalia. It is a stain on this whole country that this despicable person has a seat in Congress. Listen to this.
I rise to pay my respects to the celebrated heroes of the Somali Youth League. On May 15th, 1943, 13 young, brave, and brightful men founded SYL to liberate Somalia from colonial control. Their mission was to see a free and united Somalia and prosperity for its.
Why is that in Congress? Why is that in the U.S. Congress? Why do we have to listen to this awful person? She wouldn't honor Charlie Kirk because, he's hateful. Somalians, they're full of love. It just goes on from here. I guess we could get to this guy. It is truly, again, it just shows you what kind of people they are. It shows you what kind of people we're up against. This is who we're up against. People like AOC and Chuck Schumer and Ilhan Omar and Keith Olbermann, who is too crazy for MSNBC, but he still has he has a podcast in his Central Park apartment where he lives with his cats, and he goes on these insane rants, and he posted that burn in hell, Charlie Kirk, and it got 40,000 likes. 40,000 people liked that comment, burn in hell. Why should he burn in hell? What did he do? He went to college campuses and debated. He believed in God. He read the Bible. He believed in healthy, robust discourse. That's what he did. He didn't hate anybody. Just the opposite. He welcomed everyone. He put the people who disagreed with him to the front of the line. And this disgusting pig, Keith Olbermann, says burn in hell. Listen to this lunatic.
Now that we can say with some certainty that if Tyler Robinson indeed shot Charlie Kirk, he shot him for personal reasons because he saw Kirk as a direct threat to somebody he loved, that Robinson was not a stochastic proxy murderer from Antifa or the Groypers or the right-wingers who had so recently called Kirk a fraud, like Laura Loomer, it is then also clear that there is truly only one person whose words created, amplified, mainstreamed, and manufactured this nightmarish environment that has led to Charlie Kirk's death. The leading threat in this country, in this moment, to the safety and the lives of conservatives and Republicans and MAGA commentators and politicians and civilians is not George Soros, and it's not Antifa, and it's not a Democrat, nor a liberal, nor a socialist, nor an immigrant, nor a transgendered person. The leading threat in this country, in this moment, to the safety and the lives of conservatives and Republicans and MAGA is Donald Trump.
Oh, can you square that circle for me, Keith? How is Donald Trump a threat to Charlie Kirk? Is Donald Trump a threat to, I don't know, Donald Trump? Because he got shot once and they tried to kill him at least twice. And it's his fault? I hope they have rubber walls in that penthouse apartment because he is just out of his mind. When they're not hating, they're lying. That's what they're doing. They are lying to you. This report from CNN is just remarkable. They have nowhere to go with this. They have a choice. They either lie or they ignore the story, and they can't ignore what's going on with Kirk or Kimmel for that matter. But we all heard what Kimmel said. I've heard it 50 times already. He said, Charlie's killer is one of us, one of the MAGA people. Charlie Kirk got murdered by a MAGA guy. He knew it wasn't true. This was Monday night. We all knew that wasn't true. Hell, you didn't need 4 days to know that. You knew that a MAGA guy didn't kill Charlie Kirk. It's just so insane. But he said it anyway. He lied knowingly. That's what he did. Listen to this CNN guy, Boris something. Just look in the camera and lie. Check this out.
Let's zero in on what Kimmel actually said, the basis for his suspension. Here's the late night comedian on Monday.
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Kimmel appeared to be making a point about alleged finger pointing by the right wing toward the left in the wake of Kirk's assassination. What he said did not appear to suggest that the suspect was a MAGA shooter. Also, important to note, ABC did not take action until days after this aired. In fact, it came shortly after the FCC chair.
He literally says he didn't say what he said, and he played what he said. This is so revealing. He just looks in the camera and lies. That's what they're all doing. They're lying to you about Charlie Kirk. They're hoping you're not really familiar with Charlie's work. You're not familiar with what Charlie believed. So they're going to tell you he was a racist. AOC said he was against the Civil Rights Act, which gave black people the right to vote. A, he wasn't against the Civil Rights Act. He was against parts of it. B, that's not what gave black people the right to vote. You dope. She's a congresswoman. Truly amazing. But one more thing on AOC. Let me get this story up. This is what we're hoping for. According to Axios, according to Alex Thompson in Axios, Rep. Alexander Ocasio-Cortez and her team are positioning her for a run for president or the U.S. Senate in 2028. According to people familiar with her operation, AOC's 2028 decision could shake up the presidential race or the Senate leadership. A fellow New Yorker, Senate Minority Leader, is up for re-election in 2028. Please, AOC, don't run for Senate. Run for president. I think the ticket, we're the most likely ticket right now is Newsom at AOC. That's what we're looking at in 2028. And all I could say is, please, God, please, Lord above, give us AOC on the ticket, debating J.D. Vance on the stage during the campaign. That will just be glorious. I'm really, really hoping that happens. That woman you just saw, that stupid woman running for president, she's worse than Tim Walz. Maybe I shouldn't go that far. Also, in political news, this is great. Kamala Harris, by the way, her book's going to come out. She's going to go on tour, and it's going to be amazing. I told you this. She had to have some real bombshells in this book to sell it. She couldn't just go. First of all, she had to have a good ghostwriter because she can't write and she doesn't know, what she's doing. So someone had to tell her. He had to put some stuff in there. So there's a few things in there that we're learning. She says Joe Biden's brother called her just before the debate with Trump to tell her that she better not stick Joe in the back, during the debate, just to rattle her. And also, she reveals, this is from The Hill, Kamala Harris revealed in her upcoming book that former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg was her first choice for running mate in the 2024 presidential run, but it proved to be too risky. This is amazing. The Atlantic has an excerpt of her book, 107 Days. And she said, Buttigieg would have been an ideal partner if he were a straight white man. Well, if he were a straight white man, we wouldn't even know his name. That's the reason. If he were a straight white man, he wouldn't have been in Biden's cabinet. We know that. But anyway, she writes, we were already asking a lot of America to accept a black woman married to a Jewish man. Part of me wanted to say, screw it, let's just do it. But knowing what was at stake, it was too much of a risk. And I think Pete knew that, to our mutual sadness. So I want to get this straight. She thought it was too risky to pick a gay guy, so she picked Tim Walz. How's Tim Walz feeling these days? That he was the second choice, and he was only picked because, he liked women.
Until it came out that maybe he didn't.
Yeah, well, it took about 10 seconds for that to come out when he pranced on stage, but she picked the worst vice presidential candidate in history, and she thought he would appeal to young men. Tim Walz. Just think of that ticket. It was Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. They could be president and vice president right now if the country didn't wake up and put Trump back in the White House. What a disaster they would have been. And all I could say is this tour, Kamala's tour, is going to be fun. It's going to be just stupid. She's going to be out there falling all over herself. She's going to appear, I'm not saying she's going to appear drunk. She's going to appear scatterbrained and cackling and laughing. And she's going to have to be everywhere. You can't just go on Joe Scarborough and sell your book. You got to go out there. You got to go on Fox News. You got to go on Newsmax. Those interviews are going to be great, and they're coming this fall, and I can't wait. All right, before we go, I want to play this montage, and it's just annoying the hell out of me. I hope it is bothering you too, if you know anything about the First Amendment. We heard so much about the First Amendment the last 3 days. It's just remarkable. The First Amendment has nothing to do with Jimmy Kimmel being suspended. We've already gone over it. His boss brought him in, said, you screwed up. You got to make it right. You got to apologize. He said no. They said, hit the road. That's it. That's all. The Hollywood Reporters says 66 affiliates said they would not air his show out of about 200. So they were in big trouble because of him. And they said, you can make this right. He said no, and they took him off the air. That has nothing to do with the government, has nothing to do with Trump. It has nothing to do with the First Amendment. But we're dealing with really stupid people here. Here's 8 prominent Democrats, including 3 people who ran for president: Hillary Clinton, John Kerry, Kamala Harris, a Supreme Court justice, Tim Walz, Jen Psaki, a spokesman for a president. Listen to these people talk about free speech in the First Amendment. They just don't understand it. They're just not smart enough. Go ahead.
You shouldn't be banned from one platform and not others for providing misinformation out there.
There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
There are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda, and whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
If people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block. It's really hard to govern today.
This is a matter of corporate responsibility. Twitter should be held accountable and shut down that site. It is a matter of safety and corporate accountability.
The First Amendment is not absolute. It does not protect any single thing anyone says. And there are limits, and that's important. And what this committee has been trying to do for the last year and a half is to chill the federal government from monitoring what is going on social media.
When you look at what Tucker Carlson and some of these other folks on Fox do, it is very, very clearly incitement of violence. Very clearly incitement of violence. I believe that when it comes to broadcast television like Fox News, these are subject to federal law, federal regulation in terms of what's allowed on air and what isn't.
So my biggest concern is that your view has the First Amendment hamstringing the government in significant ways.
That's from Western Lensman. That is amazing. One after another. Just saying the dumbest, most outrageous things. AOC says Fox News is broadcast television. It is not. It is cable. It is not regulated by the FCC, but she doesn't understand that. A Supreme Court justice says the First Amendment has hamstrung the government. Yeah, lady, that's the whole point. She's a Supreme Court justice for life. And Hillary Clinton wants people arrested criminally, like it's the UK, for things they post. By the way, you know what's an outrageous affront to free speech? Would be the Biden regime pressuring social media companies, which they don't regulate, to take people down, to censor them, to silence them. If the FCC commissioner points out that Jimmy Kimmel is violating their regulations, is knowingly lying, that is not overreach. That's not a loophole. That's his job. It's a big difference between going on a network, which is supposed to serve the public interest, and going on Twitter or going on Facebook. Big, big difference. Or going on cable news or a podcast. None of those people seem to understand that. They're all outraged that Jimmy Kimmel was given a couple of days off. But they didn't care that the Biden regime literally set up shop in Silicon Valley and forced Twitter. Hell, they paid them. They paid social media companies to censor Americans, not for lying, not for hate speech, for telling the truth. And that idiot Tim Walz says there's no protection, First Amendment protection for disinformation or hate speech. Yes, there is, stupid. You think you would know that. But no, it's not that complicated. And yet they don't, or they don't want to know that. They just want to scream First Amendment, free speech, when Jimmy Kimmel is told to sit out because he refused to apologize for knowingly lying on the air. But we will see if Jimmy Kimmel comes back. I don't think he will, but some people think he'll be back next week. I don't think he will because he has to apologize. They made that clear. They're not going to let him come on and double down, which he said he was going to do. They can't afford to. These are billion-dollar companies. They can't afford to lose 66 affiliates because this clown hates Trump and refuses to apologize or back down at all. They can't do that. Again, that's business. That's the free market. That's not the First Amendment. But whatever. These people are just so dumb. Just so dumb. All right. That will do a big weekend. I don't know, Ironhead. Sunday, I'm looking forward to Charlie Kirk's funeral. I think it's going to be amazing. But they're going head-to-head with the NFL. That's a tough one. 2 p.m. Eastern. It starts. There's going to be 63,000 people there, including Trump and J.D. Vance, and Rubio and Tucker. And they're going to have a lot of speakers. I think it'll be amazing. I think Turning Point knows how to put on an event, and so does Trump. I think there'll be a flyover. There'll be some surprises. It will be amazing. And you know what's going to happen that day? The next day, Democrats are going to bitch about it and criticize it, complain, and they just don't understand. They can't read the room. They can't read the country right now. They don't understand how important Kirk was and how outraged people are. They don't get it, which is good. I hope they continue to double down on their insanity because we've never seen anything like this, not in generations. A young leader, an inspiring guy, shot dead in front of us. And people aren't going to move on. They're not ready. They're not going to move on for quite a while. And Sunday is going to be big. It's going to be moving. And it's going to radicalize some people. I think it already has. I think a lot of people are more motivated and mobilized and determined to carry on Charlie Kirk's message and to fight for his principles. I know his wife is taking over the company, but there's a lot of people out there. He had an event scheduled for Colorado State last night. He wasn't there, of course. 10,000 people showed up anyway, just to show their respects. 10,000 people showed up to a stadium where Charlie Kirk was supposed to speak, just to say a prayer, light a candle. That's how we are responding. People are praying, they're going to church, they're holding vigils, they're remembering Charlie Kirk. Democrats, they're lying about him and refusing to honor him, refusing to sign on to a resolution to honor the man and condemn the violence. Again, quite the revealing moment in America. But all right, that will do it for this Friday afternoon. I hope everyone has a great weekend. I know I will be watching. I'll be watching football. I'll be watching Red Zone, but I will take some time and watch the funeral. And I feel it. I hope everyone else feels it. I mean, people are pissed. People are hurt. This is having a real groundswell here, and it's not going away anytime soon. But that will do it for today and for this week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we will do it again Monday morning.
I didn't say it's on one side, but I say the radical left causes tremendous violence, and they seem to do it in a bigger way. But the radical left really is caused a lot of problems for this country. I really think they hate our country.